Hello there, you're watching SME On Point. My name is Diabo Sito. Thank you so much for joining us. You'll remember that this month we're still continuing with entrepreneurship education since institutions of higher learning are now moving from treating entrepreneurship as a side elective to now building full ecosystems that shape how students think, learn, as well as launch businesses. We're concluding our series of entrepreneurship education, and joining us virtually today is Hoosen Essof, who is the Head of Community Engagement, Innovation and Student Experience at Regent Business School. Hoosen, thank you so much for joining us on SME On Point. Perhaps to start with talking about, in your view, why you think entrepreneurship education matters and how the way it is structured can also be able to boost growth in a country or in an economy.
Sure. Thank you very much for having me. I think let's start with first understanding that entrepreneurship is not necessarily about selling potatoes or selling anything for that matter.
Sure.
It's about a mindset, it's about a way of thinking. And that transcends any one particular field or any one particular career. So entrepreneurship training is about giving people a skill set that it goes beyond just what people typically think entrepreneurship is about, buying and selling and trading, etc., etc. However, that being said, given the context of South Africa, the high unemployment rate, specifically the extremely high rather, youth unemployment rate, we need to be able to give the future an opportunity to sustain themselves,
Sure.
to grow the economy, to contribute to the growth of the country. And for that reason and that reason alone, entrepreneurship needs to be high on the agenda of the skill set that people need generally.
Yeah. Let's talk about how your institutions of higher learning, including yourselves, are changing how you teach entrepreneurship. As I said earlier on, that before it used to be just an addition to a module, but
Sure.
now it becomes a whole degree on its own. How are you at Regent doing it?
Yes, so just beyond the qualification, we try and make entrepreneurship or entrepreneurial teaching and learning very hands-on, very practical. So for example, and I'm going to give away a few tricks here, we get students we give them money when they start studying with Regent,
Okay.
to go and start a side hustle. We call this the 21-day challenge. And this happens even before they pick up their first textbook or their first module. And the idea is for them to get into the field, to get their hands dirty, and to use that learning in their journey while they're studying with us. That's the one thing that we do. The other thing that we do is we have on all of our campuses maker spaces within our university, within the Regent ecosystem, called the iLead Lab, called the Red Hub, where students get to go in and make and prototype and break things often enough, but as part of a learning journey in a safe space.
Sure.
So beyond the textbooks, which is important, the theory of entrepreneurship, understanding how the mindset of entrepreneurs, it's also to practice it and to do it. And I think that's what we're probably very good at, is giving students an opportunity in a safe space.
Sure.
To try, to fail, to iterate and improve.
Yeah. Hoosen, while we talk about the benefits of giving hands-on experience to students, but perhaps we can move over to talk about, now you have trained Diabo. She has a degree in entrepreneurship. Where does she start in looking for the next step, whether it's going into an institution that can help her hone the skills she's learned or starting her own business? Now, where do we put the value of this qualification?
No, so it's during the studies. It's not something that you do at the end. So if you are doing supply chain, you can only get into the field, you can only get a job in industry after you got a piece of paper, that qualification, okay? In the case of entrepreneurship, that piece of paper is valuable. It's something that you want to pursue. But the side hustle mentality, the trying and the failing and the iterating and the prototyping happens while you're studying. That's number one.
Sure.
Number two is we try and link people up during their coursework, during their years of studies with us, with industry, with startup entities, with funders, so that they get to experience the real world of eventually that's where I want to be. I mean, time is not enough for me to give you the numbers of examples that we have of students who are still in their second and third year who already have, I want to say beyond side hustle, I'm trying to find the right term, but beyond side hustle, where they're making something reasonable out of a venture that they've started. It may be very early stage, they'll probably not pursue it after they complete their studies, but at least they get to play with something in a safe space before they get that piece of qualification. So it's not an afterthought, it's baked into the program.
Okay. Now let's talk about how prospective students or entrepreneurs that are currently watching us now, and they're thinking, I really want to speak to Regent and see how they can assist me in my journey. How should then one decide the type of entrepreneurship course or program that fits their stage of business or even career goal?
Oh, that's a good question. I think, you know, the scope of what people want to do is broad, right?
Sure.
But there are some essential basic skills that everyone needs. So entrepreneurship, like I said earlier, is not about necessarily being able to balance the books. That's an important aspect.
Yeah.
More, it's about a mindset. The mindset of continuously trying something, iterating, improving, prototyping, until you hit the jackpot, so to speak.
Sure.
And again, there's experts. Well, there's people that we could mention. Richard Branson, for example,
Sure.
had many failures before he eventually became successful. Now, he had the luxury of a well-endowed family. How do we do that to students so that in a safe space again, they're able to experiment with what they think they want to do, fail. We encourage failure sometimes, but learning to fail forward so that when they eventually get to where they want to be, it's easier for them to grow from there. So if you are thinking of entrepreneurship or if you're thinking of starting a venture and you want a place that will hold your hands, give you enough, to grow, space to grow, won't make judgments on you, will guide you through the steps that you need, may encourage you to fail because failure is vital.
Sure.
Oftentimes, a person with a good idea will fail and give up. How do you teach resilience? You can't teach resilience in the field.
Yes.
You teach resilience in a safe space, and that's what we attempt to do.
Hoosen, this has been such an insightful talk, and thank you for concluding our series of entrepreneurship education here on SME On Point. And I hope that you sitting there at home, we've been able to give you more than 5 institutions that offer entrepreneurship education that you can choose from and listen to from our Facebook page, which is at SME On Point, about why this should form part of your development for this year. If you're already working and you have a side hustle, or you are thinking of going full force into entrepreneurship, how about you add a certificate or 2 into entrepreneurship and see how that goes. And with that, that's all we have for you for SME On Point for this week. Like I always say, please remember to support small businesses in your community. Let's make those rands and cents circulate. Goodbye.